Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are rejoining our crew on the moon as we're trying to figure out what exactly we're going to do with our broken Mr. Coffee science exploration vehicle. And I guess the initial thought was that we would have to drag it a little closer to the base itself so that at the very least we could transfer the fuel and life support out of it. That will make it a whole lot easier to move around. I think the consensus I have come to is that we are going to break it apart, attach parts of it here to the disposal unit, and then set off on a very long road trip. However, that was not going nearly as well as planned. As you can see, the disposal unit just can't quite pick it up. So we will use its own engine under its own power to very delicately brute fist this thing closer to the base, and a little bit of a thunk of a landing, but no big deal. It should be well within range of stuff had it not started sliding a little bit down the hill, which is a little difficult to tell under such heavily accelerated footage. But then we will bring the disposal unit a little closer while returning the working arm back to a usable position. Valve still in control, though she has brought along an engineer just riding in the bed of the truck, which actually, as it turns out, creates a lot of problems for this thing in that it just doesn't quite want to move around very well. But now that we've got the lander positioned, we'll give the crew a brief rest so that they can begin working in earnest. Next shift, I guess, would be the key term here. But for the briefest of moments, I will turn you over to old me to get this started. Alright, so the crew is retreated inside for a well-deserved night's rest, and it's time to start work in earnest. So this is pretty much going to be Laura Douglas's job, considering how most of this pretty much her fault anyway. But I don't know, for an engineer who has performed so well doing so many different tasks here on the moon, I guess we can let this one slide. But as much as I don't want to do it, I think the most reasonable path or course of action here is to retrofit the disposal unit and make it a sciencey rover thing. Now, I don't know. We'll get to the work in earnest, but the very first step is going to be connecting the Mr. Science back up to the lab and everything. And you don't have a connector port. Oh, there's two on the doohickey, isn't there? Yeah, there is. We'll just reapportion those two, and then get to the rest of these tasks as necessary. So I will probably be speeding all of this up because, oh man, it's going to take for absolutely ever to do any of these things. We already have a port on this side. That would make life so much easier. Nope, of course not. And as we all know, there's just no running on the moon, so we will be speeding pretty much the rest of this episode up. Small exceptions. Anyway, Laura Douglas is going to make a trek on out to the Mr. Science, and then realize that one of the ports on here is somehow magically the root part. That one. The other port, however, now in her inventory, she'll also collect the command chairs. I think we have a decent place for those before making a trip back out to our lunar Uber. We will be connecting a port here that we can use to connect to the now defunct Mr. Science. Sorry about that, grumpy baby. Anyway, we will attach another command chair to the rover for no real reason other than riding in the bed of the disposal unit. Doesn't really work. It causes it to slow down drastically. It's something like less than a meter per second or so of available speed. So now we can actually put 3 crew on it. We will also be attaching these antennas very strategically, I might add, for later. But for now, we're going to reposition the rover very slightly so that we can make some quick changes here to accommodate its new role as an exploration vehicle and not demolition / construction vehicle. Step 1, we're going to remove this KIS crate from the back and kind of just slap it on over here. We really should take it over to the habitation module because that's where the rest of the crates are, but right here is good enough. I mean, at least for the time being. We've got our 2 antennas strategically placed. Those will come in handy later, unfortunately. And then it's a matter of getting ourselves into position so we can make quick adaptive changes from the Mr. Science to the rover itself, although lifting a lot of those tanks is going to be a whole lot easier when they are empty. But now that we have our other connector port, we'll just go ahead and attach it here. Yeah, disposal unit is in the way, so we'll just pull it a little further forward to get it so that it does not hit those pipes. That would probably be the best course of action, I suppose. I'm not sure if that would create a invite for the Kraken, but I just don't want to tempt fate. But unfortunately, and I'll blame it entirely on the vehicle itself and not my terrible piloting skills, we are out of range. It's more than 25 meters away from our lunar Uber, so we're going to need kind of a midpoint. And good thing I put this chair back here because this makes things really easy. You can hop in from any side and pilot this thing. We're going to use the disposal unit as a midpoint to connect basically one pipe from the Uber to the disposal unit and another pipe from the disposal unit to the Mr. Science. And this will help us dispose of all the things that are in there that we need to collect, namely fuel and then life support. As I'm fairly certain one Kerbal will be able to lift any of those tanks by themselves when they are empty. However, there's like a 1-ton limitation. The whole vehicle weighs about 5 tons, fully fueled, so it might be a little... I don't know. They might be a little less than that even full, but it's just going to make life a whole lot easier if we blow up a tank that we don't accidentally explode a bunch of resources that we could also use. So one tank connected to the back end, we'll just plumb another one right here through the battery, and through the magic of video games, this pipe is now connected to the base at large, so we will just go ahead first, dump the life support, and then we'll go through tank by tank and dump all the fuel also. That's going to make this thing considerably lighter, but also, fortunately, we don't have to move it anymore. We can just break it down right where it stands, and that'll do us a lot of good, actually. So enough fuel in there to top off one of the tanks in the Uber. We'll switch to another tank, but yeah, it doesn't top that off. Now that we thought that it would, it's just nice that we can use that fuel for something better. And just a quick check, we do have a science thing in there that we did not have before. We just need to find the correct thing to transfer it to. There we go, the cupola. Delta Avionics. Yeah, we'll just transfer those experiments over. Why not? No point in getting rid of them, especially if we can run them again from the moon or through the lab. So we'll just detach most of the science payload right there up top. Real easy to get to, and that makes things super, super simple. Now, before I attach anything to the disposal unit at all, we are going to unhook it from the facility, move this connector port, not the tail light. I would like to keep the tail light. I'm very proud of functional brake lights on a rover. But we'll go ahead and pull ourselves a little bit closer so that we can just add things on, hopefully without having to move them too much. But yeah, that only works when you don't bump into stuff, I suppose. Anyway, we can move that bracket out of the way and then move this landing gear. Yeah, that was predictable. Should have seen that one coming. This is the life support tank. I don't know why I painted it blue. Maybe just so it was easier to see. But we need to move it just to the other side of this thing so we can get it in the bed of the truck, and it keeps deciding to get up and walk away, like almost literally. I have no idea what phantom force would be causing that, but moot point now, as it is attached to the bed of the truck. We'll get our first goo container there, and then we'll just go ahead and get these 2 antennas out of the way, even temporarily. We might need that hookup later, although really, I guess I could have put a crate there and brought along some spare parts. There's our Science Junior, or I guess the photo canister, and the rest of our science experiments, other than the hammer and the laser experiment. We'll get that poured off the front because it looks kind of silly. And I did have an idea about using these RCS ports as like lunar traction control in the low gravity. It's really easy to kind of just go airborne. We'll have to move that antenna to make room for this one. And so downward facing RCS ports can help keep your wheels pinned to the ground, which is nice. It does also unfortunately require at least a pressurized tank, which I failed to bring. So we're going to get the hammer experiment bolted here onto the side. Weight distribution matters a whole lot less on a rover than it does on something that flies, so I can kind of just stick things on this completely arbitrarily. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how to use that impact hammer thing with the seismograph experiments. We have one on the side of Rosalina Memorial Station. I don't know if it needs to be like actually on the ground or deployed, but I have armed it, quote unquote. I'm not quite sure how to use it. Anyway, this tank I am bringing along because I thought, well, we need fuel for the RCS, so why not bring it? Attach it as low as possible to help lower our center of mass, which will also help increase stability. We'll pump some fuel into it a little bit later, but even if it doesn't work for the RCS ports because it's not pressurized, spoiler alert, it will help lower our center of mass and make the vehicle more stable and less likely to flip, or if it does flip, it will more likely to land on its wheels. So we're pretty much done with the Mr. Science. We've gotten all the goodies from it that we need. So we'll just back ourselves up here to Rosalina Memorial Station and our handy dandy crate so that we can stow all the extra stuff. First step is going to be getting rid of these broken wheels. I don't know if they're hindering us at all in the fact that they don't actually work, but they could be, and I'd rather not just have the extra mass or the drag on the dirt slowing us down a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave those here. Also, it's a good place to hook ourselves up to a fuel tank, and the life support tank needs to be refilled. Also, that would be pretty bad to forget about that, although I do forget to unlock it for quite some time. Spoiler? No, it doesn't matter. No one dies from that. Not really a spoiler. Anyway, we will pump some fuel back into our traction control tank. No real need to fill it up, so that part doesn't really matter nearly as much. We'll also try to make sure things can get balanced out before unhooking the tank. Checking our time, so it looks like we've got about 23 hours. That's just in the spacesuit. That doesn't actually include our life support tank. We should have about 12 days, which is more than enough to get to pretty much anywhere. And so we'll just get ourselves clear of the facility, leave the seat for a second, make sure that we can get a good quick save, and then hit the road. Of course, we will eventually be consulting with our MechJeb automated rover guidance. We just need to find a biome. Turns out there's lunar seas and lunar highlands very, very close to each other right out in this area. That's where we were trying to go before with the Mr. Science before our very notable failure. And we will set the speed control, the heading control, the stability control, and the brake on pilot eject should anything go absolutely horrendously, horrifically wrong. Let MechJeb take the wheel and see how well it works in accelerated mode. And honestly, it works pretty well. I was able to get several of these nice just transversive shots, although at our current speed of 11 meters per second, it will take 4 hours and 17 minutes to get there. So we will actually ramp that speed up. I'm just taking a very quick break to quick save. You'll see me stopping the rover intermittently as we make this drive just to take a quick save, and this is twofold insurance in case something goes wrong when I'm not actually paying attention. We'll have a place to revert back to, and also if the game crashes, which it tends to do when you want to leave it open and running under autopilot for hours at a time, If you can't tell, we've upped the accelerated footage-ness. It gets a little jittery. I do apologize. But we've had to dial back the physics warp to 3 times as we are getting some pretty interesting stability issues. Now, in the times that I was around, it did give me a nice opportunity to play with the new camera trick that I was told about in the comments section. Thank you very much for that. I do greatly appreciate it. And it did provide me with many interesting opportunities to play with cool shots like this, which is always a nice thing to interrupt a boring drive, at least until you're too busy paying attention to the camera. Pay attention to this. Oh. Okay. Alright. Is that a hill? God, it's so hard to tell in map view. Oh, a nice angle with the earth. I really wish F2 would get rid of the green lines from MechJeb. Oh. Oh, whoa! Oh no. Oh! Oh, come on. Whoa. Oh god, nothing. The wheels okay? Alright, come on. Brakes. No. Nora. Put your wheels down. Oh, dang it. Come on. Oh, wow. This is a hill. Oh. Oh. Alright. See you later. Good time to bail out. Yeah. Oh. Okay. And now the brakes turn on. Oh! Alright. She's up. She's okay. She's okay. Everything's fine. Oh, what the hell? We can't even walk up this hill. We have no choice but to walk. Okay, we can go side. No. Okay, where? Say, I didn't have control for at least half of that, so let's try this. Alright, a little better. Oh, come on. Yeah, we're falling. I don't actually have control anymore. Oh, come on. Alright. Good enough. So let's try maybe just bringing the rover to us. Maybe? Wow, this is... Okay, let's turn brake on pilot eject off. There we go. That gives us control of having the brakes off. Get ourselves turned around, and I guess we'll go pick up our Kerbal. Yeah, this ends up taking a little time, as we tried to bring the rover closer, and yeah, getting the signal delay brake thing to work just wasn't helping, and trying to go up the hill in any fashion ends up being to go down the hill every single time. So once again, we'll switch out to the rover and try to bring the rover down to Laura. Z brakes. Okay, now how do I hold the brakes on? Brakes. Oh, okay. What? I thought that would have had like an impact or something. Brake on pilot eject. Brakes. Nope, I'm still having to hit the pin. Clicking that does nothing. Alright, that's interesting. I'm glad we've got clearance on the undercarriage. Thought I would have hit her out of the, yeah, okay. No big deal, nothing to see here. This is normal. Everything is fine. Everything is absolutely okay. Alright, come on. I just need to stop within range so that she can just jump into the seat. So with some careful uphill driving and certainly not trying to run over our Kerbal multiple times, we will actually hit the brakes and then fall through the rover way down the hill. Like a lot down the hill. But she's okay. Brushes it off. But trying to use the RCS pack to go up the hill doesn't work very well, as you kind of bounce off and then roll forever and a day. So it looks like it's pretty much going to be the job of the rover to get close to Laura here to try to scoop her up. You know, at least like that's the plan. Okay. Brakes. Yes! That totally should be close enough. Stop! No! Alright, switch. Oh, if you switch while holding the brakes, they stay locked. This is good to know. Forward. Excellent. Alright, we are back in business. Officially. That only took like an hour. Oh, jeez. Alright, let's get heading control. No, we should probably get speed control on first. Yeah, we'll leave it real low, 3 meters per second while we're trying to go down this hill. And already we're going way faster than that. Well, it's trying at least. Somewhat trying. Yeah, picking up a little bit of speed. Well, we're back on autopilot and trying to keep our speed limited, which means adding a whole lot of time to our trip. But this hill is seriously like 23, 24 degrees inclined, maybe, which is just a little bit more than I think this thing was intended to handle. What can I say? But trying to keep our speed limited to 3 meters per second. I think we are traveling actually at like 8 something, which is about as much limitation as we could get on this thing currently. It's just the hill and the gravity pulling us down. But I guess MechJub just doesn't like using the brakes because we know holding the brakes will actually bring this vehicle to a stop. So I guess that's just another small flaw with the autopilot here. But because this thing is so heavy, it doesn't go end over ending while hitting the brakes. Either that or maybe I took the time to actually balance the brake loading so that most of the braking is done by the rear wheels instead of the front, so it doesn't go wheel lock tumbling end over end. I really doubt I had that much foresight into how to build this thing, but at least for a time, as we got closer to the bottom of the hill, things seem to be going quite smoothly, although this is... hill is probably an understatement. This is a mountain. This was easily a couple of kilometers of just nearly going straight down. And finally, when you feel like you can actually stop paying attention... Oh, that's a shimmy. Oh, come on. No, no, no. Oh, great. Yep. Oh, okay. Now we're actually moving 22 meters per second. How did we actually get going that fast? Oh, please don't break a wheel. We are so far away. Oof. Okay. So far, so good. Down to 15 meters per second. I think if we survive that first impact, we're going to be okay. Maybe? Oh, come on. Just land on your wheels. Come on. Come on. Oh, these physics make no sense. Almost? No? Oh. Jeez. All right. Oh. Oh! Okay. Oh. All right. Well, she's been thrown clear. Now, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to right this rover. I don't think... I probably should have turned... Oh, man. Look at her roll down this hill. Oh. And she's really bouncy. Yeah, no hope of getting control anytime soon. And for hill rolling champion... Oh, this looks so much worse than sped up footage. Oh, good grief. And yeah, just the disposal unit has just slid all the way the hell down this hill. Alright, we're up. It's over there. This is going to take some time. So I guess this is going to be a multi-parter after all. So that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.